Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now, uh, we are going to talk about teaching grammar. First of all, introduction. Grammar, according to Yule 2006, refers to the analysis of structures of phrases and sentences, whereas Swan 2008 defines grammar as the rules that show how words are combined, arranged, or changed to show certain kinds of meaning. Traditionally, grammar is associated with analysis at the level of the sentence. Thus, it gives a prominence to sentence grammar. Grammar is central to the teaching and learning of languages. Without a good knowledge of grammar, learners' language development will be severely constrained. Many people, including language teachers, associate good grammar with the prestige forms of the language, such as those used in writing and informal oral presentations, and bad or no grammar with the language used in everyday conversation or used by speakers of non-prestige forms. Practically, in the grammar teaching, learners are taught rules of language commonly known as sentence patterns. Grammatical rules enable them to know and apply how such sentence patterns should be put together. The grammar teaching should also ultimately focus on the way grammatical items or sentence patterns are correctly used. In other words, it should encompass language structure or sentence patterns, meaning, and use. Many scholars believe that teaching grammar separately is not favorable to learners since learners only learn the way language is constructed. And very often, when they are given grammatical rules, the learners work well on such cases. However, when they write or speak, the learners make grammatical mistakes or even unnecessary ones. Helping learners apply grammatical rules into communicative tasks, for example, writing and speaking, is very challenging. The teaching of grammar then should give balance between grammar and communication. Teachers, especially in the context of EFL, could benefit from learning some alternative approaches for teaching grammar so that they can integrate grammar into other language skills in such a way that the goal of learning language is ultimately achieved. The underlying principles, since the goal is to achieve balance between grammar and communication, it is helpful to think grammatical structures not only have form or morphosyntactic, they are also used to express meaning or semantics in context-appropriate use or pragmatics. Larson Freeman, 2002, proposes a pie chart to deal with the complexity of grammar consisting of structure or form, semantic or meaning, and the pragmatic conditions governing use. The arrows connecting which of the pie with the another illustrate the interconnectedness of the three dimensions. Thus, a change in any of the wedge will have repercussions for the other two. The form or structure deals with offered lexical and morphological forms, telling us how a particular grammar structure is constructed and how it is sequenced with other structures in a sentence or text. Semantics or meaning deals with what the grammar structure means. The meaning can be lexical or dictionary meaning or grammatical. Pragmatics deals with all aspects of meaning not dealt with by semantic theory or meaning within context. We can see the charts here. You may see the details in the textbook. Yeah. Okay. Thus, grammar is viewed from three perspectives: from how it is formed, meaning what does it mean, and use, when or why is it used. These are the three questions should be answered by the teacher to fill in the wedges. All the three dimensions have to be mastered the learners. They have to be able to use grammatical structures accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. Then it is better to think of teaching or grammaring rather than grammar, by thinking of grammar as a skill to be mastered rather than a set of rules to be memorized. Students will be able to convey meaning accurately. The classroom activities and procedures. Teaching procedure applicable for teaching grammar is the PPP model of presentation, practice, and production. The PPP model is also number one. Yeah, the PPP model is also a common approach to communicative language teaching that works through the progression of three sequential stages. Presentation represents the introduction to a lesson and necessarily requires the creation of realistic feeling situation requiring the target language to be learned. This can be achieved through using pictures, dialogues, imagination, or actual classroom situations. During presentation, new language is presented perhaps as a grammatical pattern or more frequently within some familiar situation. The practice usually begins with what is termed mechanical practice, open and closed pair work. During practice, the new language item is identified, repeated, and manipulated by the students. Unless the teacher is using pair work or language laboratory, the teacher also dominates this phase of the lesson, occupying more than 50% of the talking in class. Students gradually move into more communicative practice, involving procedures like information gap activities, dialogue creation, and controlled role plays. Practice is seen as the frequency device to create familiarity and confidence with the new language and a measuring stick for accuracy. The teacher still directs and corrects at this stage, but the classroom is beginning to become more learner-centered. The production is seen as the culmination of the language learning process, whereby the learners have started to become independent users of the language rather than students of the language. During production, the students attempt to use the new language in different contexts provided by the teacher. The teacher's role here is to somehow facilitate a realistic situation or activity where the students instinctively feel the need to actively apply the language they have been practicing. The teacher does not correct or become involved unless students directly appeal to him or her to do so. The number two, yeah, Jeremy Hammer proposed a different three-stage model, the ESA model, the engage, study, and activate. It is not necessary to adopt a certain approach as a whole. It is easy to combine various features from different approaches, modify and improve them so as to be able to suit teachers and learners' personal teaching and learning needs. It means that teaching sequences are comprised of engage, study, and activate elements. The engage means that teachers awaken learners' curiosity, as learners need to satisfy their curiosity about what is going to be taught. They are involved in the teaching process. They pay attention, they are interested in it, and they remember more. Students can benefit from being engaged, so it is the teacher's responsibility to captivate their minds. During the engage phase, the teacher tries to arouse the students' interest and engage their emotions. The aim is to arouse the students' interest, curiosity, and attention. The study means presentation and practice of certain constructions, for example, verb tenses. It may comprise techniques from PPP procedure. The meaning, form, and the context of the new grammar items are explained and demonstrated, or students may be asked to work out rules from examples of a new structure. There is a seemingly endless variety of different ways how study goals can be achieved. The study phase activities are those with focus on language or information and how it is constructed. This element describes the exercises and activities which are designed to get students to use the language as communicatively as they can. The activate element embraces communicative and free usage of the absorbed knowledge in real-life situations. It does not focus on the accuracy of specific bits of language. During Activate, students do not focus on language construction or practice particular language patterns, but use their full language knowledge in the selected situation or task. Learners are encouraged to talk about themselves, make dialogues, role plays, debates, write stories, comprehend the reading and listening text, or read and listen for pleasure. Simply, they try to use language as freely as possible. In conclusion, teaching grammar plays an irreplaceable role in learning and teaching English, since without a good knowledge of grammar, learners' language development will be severely constrained. The ultimate goal of teaching grammar is to provide the students with knowledge of the way language is constructed so that when they listen, speak, read, and write, they have no trouble applying the language that they are learning. Language teachers are, therefore, challenged to use creative attempts to teach grammar so that such a goal can successfully be achieved. The PPP or ESA teaching procedure described in this section is applicable to achieve this goal. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.